Morning, everybody. It's Cheryl, and I am just stopping in to talk to you just a little bit about a project that I'm working on that might inspire you to do the very same thing. Now, it is a Tuesday morning, and I'm recording this on August 18th, and I am working on mapping out a course for parents that they can use to teach their children how to do writing at their own home. So clearly this is not going to be like letter formation. This is going to be like getting kids inspired to write outside of school. But really, my target audience is homeschoolers. Okay, now I happen to work with a couple of homeschooling families. They're great people to work with. They're always looking for ideas, but I'm not going to give this away for free. When I'm all done with this, I'm going to place this as a purchasable course on my website. Now, I've actually had some people buy courses from my website. I know it's crazy, but the thing is that you have to talk about your course in order for your course to sell. Right now, I'm just talking to you about mapping this course out. So I had to get a little bit of help with this because I had this idea in my mind. And so I went to ChatGPT. So I'm just going to open up my chat here real quick and walk you through kind of what I did with it to get my mind working in the right order. And oops, hang on right here. This is the one that I want. Okay. So I'm just going to share this with you because it was pretty simple to do, and I think you could do it too. Now I use ChatGPT for free, and what I'm going to let you know is all of these ideas that are listed in here are ideas that I am going to be um, creating things to go with it. Okay, so this was my query. I started this on Sunday. Today is Tuesday. And I just said I'm wanting to build an outline for a writing course for homeschool families to follow for kids first through third grade. In first and through third grade. I'm looking for ideas about appropriate types of writing. Let's break this down to get started. And that's literally what I wrote. And then this was what came back. Possible progression, first grade. Learning to get your ideas on paper. The big goal is I have something to say and I can write. And then they gave me all kinds of ideas of things that a first grader could write about. And then they went into second grade and gave me all kinds of ideas about different types of writing that could be included. And then they went into third grade and gave me different ideas. Now, I didn't ask for sources, but I'm pretty knowledgeable. I'm knowledgeable enough about state standards in my state that these are pretty reflective of the different types of writing that a child at those grades would do. Plus, I taught for enough years to see what the lower grade teachers were doing and had many of my own students who probably were writing at about that same age that I was actually kind of developing things for that worked. So again, this plan, draft, revise, edit, publish, share is something that I would normally already do. So they're just taking things that I would normally do and just saying, here it is, but they're organizing it for me. And then I liked this idea. One thing I would do in the course would be to say week 1, narrative, week 2, informal. And so you would write down your writing purpose. So I'm looking at the left side of the screen. Tell a story, describe, inform, explain how, give an opinion, and then it's broken down for each one of the grade levels, which I really liked. But I didn't necessarily use their ideas. I mean, I came up, kind of did, but I didn't. And I'm going to share with you what mine's starting to look like. But I printed this out. And actually, I don't even have it here at my desk. It's out on my kitchen counter because that's where I was looking at it while having a cup of coffee. But I think the important part is, and I really like how they kind of summarize this here. This gives homeschool parents a clear roadmap because that's really what they're looking for. If you follow homeschool parents anywhere, they're always looking for ways to get their kids to read and write, and their frustration level is just about beyond repair. And they buy these curriculums and they don't know what to do with it because it's probably not scripted enough. I actually don't think that mine's going to be overly scripted, but mine is definitely going to have things in it that will help students go from point A to point B. Okay, so that's the part that I wanted to share there. Now, I'm going to just take you through some of my notes that I've got started so far. And I literally just started this. I wasn't home yesterday. Well, I was home yesterday. We live on a farm. I had massive amounts of mowing to do. And then I babysat my grandkids last night. So I didn't really work on it past just maybe, I don't know, 45 minutes. So I put down for grade 1. It's literally in this free little book that my husband got. He went to He went to some event, said, "You want this notebook?" I said, "Yes, I'll take it." And so, doesn't everybody like to write in something brand new? So for grade 1, I've got develop a sentence for week 1. Okay, so I want you to remember that most of these kids, if they were homeschooled, the emphasis wasn't necessarily on writing a sentence in kindergarten. And some of them, they're not even maybe even writing. So I'm really going to the absolute basics here. So it's really almost more reflective of like kindergarten, first grade combination, because they just aren't going to be ready. I just know it because I work with so many homeschooling families. Okay, so I wrote down that this can be used as a unit or as as daily practice, and then I have little notes for visuals that I'm going to make, like what's a lowercase letter, what's an uppercase letter, what does a period do, what does a question mark do, what does an exclamation mark do, because there are so many parents that either mention it but don't really teach it, and the kids don't have it. Even fourth, fifth, sixth grade homeschoolers that I'm working with still don't know it. So I'm going to make a little visual to go with it. Okay, so the goal is to create a simple starter sentence and build from there. And all sentences must have a capital letter and some form of punctuation. And I'm going to put a little side note on there. The emphasis is not the spelling. The spelling is not the emphasis right now. If you want to work on the spelling while you're at it, absolutely. But get them to get it down first and then go back, and then through the week you can use any spelling errors as like words to know, words to work on. So I just want them writing. Okay, so we're going to write first and then we're going to worry about the stuff later. So I gave them a sample sentence and I wrote down a dog, period. A dog. Now that's really a fragment, right? Because it's not, it's just the noun part of the sentence. And so then I said, ask your child what kind of a dog. And then they might say, a big dog. And what color is the dog? A big black dog. And what is your dog doing? A big black dog barking. What was your dog barking at? A big dog barking at me. Okay, and so that you finally have this sentence. And so you're going to provide 3 to 5 examples of sentence building using simple vocabulary words that your child already knows or can sound out or has a relatively strong chance of actually writing correctly. And I put the note down to work on those corrections during the week. Okay, so that's what they're going to do for week 1. And hopefully they're going to know that they should work on that every week, but I'll make sure to include that. And I'll probably give them like a sentence starter for each day. Um, I almost feel like I'm going to take that first sentence and maybe change it to a dog is barking. And then it could be a big dog is barking, a big black dog is barking, a big black dog is barking at me. And then we could say where at while running down the street, something like that to extend it as far as they can. And maybe I'll even say like, you're going to do this together and then your child's going to write the final sentence. So I'll give them more structure. Okay, now week 2 is this can be a standalone unit or can be daily practice. But once corrected, so what they're going to do is they're going to fix the sentence, okay? And then once you correct it together, then the kids are going to do copy work on it. So then I'm giving them sentences like, for I like my dog, I wrote it I like is L-I-K, my D-A-G. And then the child is supposed to go and hopefully they've learned like as a sight word. And if not, you can say, well, this is a rule that we're going to be learning. The silent E makes the I say its name, as in like. So this word is a word I want you to learn. So we're going to fix it. L-I-K-E. And dog is dog, not dag. So we're going to fix it. D-O-G. Okay, and some kids will be able to pick it up. Then I've got other sentences that are missing like capital letters or punctuation marks with one spelling error. And so I've got about 5 or 6 examples here. I need to definitely um, make a make more of those, but I want to create it myself. I don't want to send them off to some place else to go get it. I want this to be my standalone curriculum that they can use and that they can grow and develop, because there's all kinds of this stuff that's out there on Teachers Pay Teachers and other places. But I'm not going to post this on Teachers Pay Teachers. This is going to be a standalone curriculum that's on my website as a resource that is a paid resource. Okay, so that's why I'm telling you this. Okay, I'm just going to quickly go through the next one so you're getting the idea. Weeks 3 and 4 is going to be telling a story. So I'm going to have a graphic organizer and it reminds me of when I was a little kid in school. We had this paper was the block was empty up on the top and then the lined paper on the bottom, but the lined paper had the little dots on it. So I'm going to be preparing something very similar to that as a template. I might be able to find something on Canva that I can just use. So I'm going to look there before I actually like go to the work to type it. But I'm going to give the kids specific titles, things like something I did, my favorite day, when I grow up, my favorite food, the best game to play. We went to blank, my favorite game. And those are simple things that they can write. So the goal is to write 2 to 3 sentences, making sure that there's capital letters and punctuation. The emphasis is to use your words to make the picture come to life. So this picture that I have behind me, I might say, we're going to use that picture, and I want you to write 2 sentences about that. Okay, so you can either provide a picture, they can draw a picture, but use a picture to make it come to life. Okay, week 5 is how-to writing. And again, remember, this is just for first grade, and I'm not going to explain all the others because I haven't made them. Week 5 is how to make a sandwich, how to make your bed, how to brush your teeth, how to play a game. Um, I guess that's all I have. And then week 6 and 7 is responding to reading. You're going to read a book and then they're going to respond first, then, and last. Graphic organizer. So it's just 3 boxes. First this happened, then this happened, then this happened. So they'll have a picture, and it can be just, it doesn't have to be something like just totally drawn out. It could be stick people, and then below it 1 sentence. So they have 3 sentences all together about the story that you've read together or that they read independently. So it's got to be long enough. It's got to have enough plot to be able to do that. And then weeks 8 and 9, and I think I'm only going to have 9 weeks here, would be to do letter writing, where you're teaching them how to write a letter to a friendly letter. So they'll do copy work the first week, and then the second week they'll write their own. And so you will write a letter to a friend, a family member, another teacher, another classroom, somebody from church, whatever. So that's kind of where I'm going with it. And I wanted to give you some inspiration, like as maybe it's a little bit quiet because your students are now all going back to school, and maybe you've taken a week or 2 off just to rejuvenate, or maybe you're just getting started. Maybe you've been with me for a long time and you're just like, I really need to get started. This idea can be used with any topic. So you can use this with math. You can create a math course just like this. Keep it. Remember, your job is to fill in the holes. Okay. Now, if you're somebody who's teaching calculus, maybe your job isn't to fill in holes. Maybe your job is to pass the calculus course. That's going to look a lot different. But for me, my job as a remedial reading teacher, writing teacher, is to get the holes filled. So we're going back in and filling blank gaps. And I know these are gaps because parents don't know how to teach it. So all I'm doing is just creating a roadmap for them, something simple for them to do. And so that's what I want you to think of. It doesn't have to be about writing. I could do a whole unit on reading books, how to get kids into good books, what books to find, what are the right ages for those books, how can you check to see if your child actually knows how to read the book. Like there's a ton of stuff that I could do, but I just thought this is a gap that I'm seeing with most of my homeschooling families. So I'm going to prepare it and we'll see if it gets sold. Now my job will be to market it. So that will be the next step. Once I get it built, you'll see on social media that I'll be talking about it. Does your child have a writing gap? They might be a great reader, but maybe they struggle with their writing. What can you do about it? I've got a solution for you. I've built this wonderful curriculum. It's only $29.99. You get 9 weeks of instruction. Everything that you need is in there, and blah, 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 blah. And then you're going to have to build out a link where they can purchase it from. Now, this is a kind of secondary to the actual creation of the course, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the sales of the course, because you have to have a way to get people to buy your course. When you buy a course from me, you're going to a Stripe link. And to create a Stripe link is pretty easy. Setting up Stripe's a little tricky. You can watch some videos on how to set up a Stripe link. That's how I had to learn from somebody else. So you get your Stripe link set up, but you could sell it off of PayPal or whatever. You just have to have a link where they're going to come. If you want to sell it through a Venmo link, feel free. I just wanted something that was maybe a little bit more secure for myself, but I do know a lot of people are selling on Shopify. And so you could set up a Shopify store and then you could sell your own things on it. So if it's a digital course, they're just going to buy the digital link. Okay. So you create this button that they're going to click on your website, and it's going to take them wherever it's going to go, and then you figure out the delivery service. For me, you're either going to get it on a PDF or a Google document, or you're going to get a link to a very specific video that I've listed unlisted with a very strange title that other people can't find, a really long one that nobody's going to be able to like just pull up. And so, that's what I'm trying to get you to think through. Like, what does that look like for you as the educator? And how can you create more income than just tutoring? Because we know we're limited on time when student availability matches our availability. But outside of your available time, then this is what you're working on. You're working on some things like this. There are some other options for selling. If you create this course, absolutely. If you want to put it on Teachers Pay Teachers, feel free. And I might actually list that there because I do have a Teachers Pay Teachers store that gets like zero traffic, but I could always list it there. I could put it on an Etsy store. Like I said, I could have it on Shopify. It could be a link on any one of my videos on YouTube. And that's another thing. If you haven't watched the YouTube videos, I'm going to tell you to go back, check out the YouTube videos because there's lots of good information about how to build a YouTube page and get people interested in your content. So I hope that this has been super helpful. Make sure that if you have any questions, you email me at Cheryl Euling, name's in the corner, Cheryl Euling @gmail.com. All right, you guys go out, make it a great day, and I hope that this was extra helpful for you. If you've enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, leave us a comment, and we want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to watch and learn with us.